Hey folks, welcome to the Flipside. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is our top 5 cooperative games. Now, maybe you just came over here from the Dice Tower where we did our bottom 5, numbers 10 through 6, cooperative games. And this is the continuation of that right here on the Flipside, numbers 5 to 1. We already talked about on the last video that we were pretty much on the same board. Same page.
Cooperative. No semi-cooperative. Yeah. We stayed cooperative. Well, mostly.
We'll talk
he says he's going to break the rule.
We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But it'll be all right. My average weight of game for this list across all 10 was 2.21.
Nice. For me, it was 2.94.
2.94. That's a 3.
That's a 3.
Wow. So you know that JT is definitely giving you the heavier stuff, and I'm giving you more of the mid-weight stuff. Closer to a 2, he's closer to a 3. That tracks.
That's all good.
The kind of gamers that we are. These are all pretty much 2s and 3s. I'll put it that way.
What's
rounding
that?
up on one of them.
2s and 3s?
For my 1 through 5.
No. Mine are like 2.5-ish to 4.07's my highest. So
407.
my lowest in the top 5 is 2.35. So.
Dang. All right, well, here we go. Our top 5 cooperative games. Let's hit it. Let's just get it out of the way. My number 5 is that one thing on my list that has a semi-co-op aspect to it. You're supposed to play this game with one person being a traitor.
So is it Dead of Winter?
Nope.
Oh.
I didn't include Dead of Winter because
it has a traitor?
It was too heavily. I think in order to really get the feel of Dead of Winter, you've got to play with that traitor.
You do.
You've got to play with the traitor. But with Obscurio, you don't.
Really? I'm thinking about that.
You don't need to do it. You can play without it, and it is just as fun.
I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever played it without it. You could.
Obscurio
I never thought of it
just
that
has
way.
that thing where one person wants to mess everybody else up.
Tries to mess it all up. Yep.
And you don't need that. It's just as challenging. It's just as difficult as if you were playing with the traitor. But with the traitor, there's one person that's lying to you the entire time.
Yep.
It doesn't fit thematically for me.
No.
It doesn't fit thematically. In Dead of Winter, it absolutely does. Absolutely fits thematically in Dead of Winter.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with your pick here.
Yes.
I think you're right. I think you can probably play that one pretty easy. Just cooperatively.
You absolutely can. I mean, it takes a little bit of the edge off of it.
Right.
Because you don't have to wonder, are you lying to me or not?
Yeah.
I don't think that edge is needed to have fun in the game.
Yep. Besides, the pictures are beautiful, so who cares?
Yes, they are. So that's my number 5. It's a 1.89, which that tracks. I would round that up to a 2.
Yep.
And that tracks for about the weight of the game. And I really enjoy this one. I think this was a Mysterium killer for me. Because I liked the idea of the clue giver being able to give more detailed clues in the artwork that they showed everybody.
Sure.
You didn't just have to give them this piece of abstract art and say, hope you can clue in on what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
You can actually give these little, they're like butterfly tokens or something like that, and you can actually point towards a certain aspect of the picture. You only have 2 of them. So, and it's just a really fun game. Obscurio is a great cooperative game, and I'll stand on it. My number 5.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good number 5. My number 5 is a 2-player cooperative card game where you're collecting cards from the center market, and you're trying to destroy some nasty baddie, and it's called Aeon's End. Aeon's End. I love this game a ton. I actually was trying to figure out between this one, just a little bit of spoilers, between this one and Marvel Champions, which one to put on here, because they are both fit that same role of cooperative card game. And I think I like Aeon's End a little bit better. As far as especially the cooperative portion, because in Marvel Champions you're doing your thing and they're doing their thing for the most part. You can help a little bit, but in Aeon's End you really have to work together and make some smart decisions to beat the baddies, because they're so darn tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So I really love Aeon's End. I've talked about it a lot, but yeah, it's a great game.
That is good. That is good. All right, good pick. My number 4 is the second heaviest game on the list, and it was a 3.14. So it's just slightly lighter. Again, really kind of an arbitrary lighter, but so you could easily say this is also the heaviest game on my list. But this one is it's kind of a dungeon crawler.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah, kind of a dungeon crawler. It's called Deliverance. And it's part of this, and this is a little bit of the cheat, but part of this is based upon the playtesting that I've done of the expansion that hasn't been made yet.
Perfect.
But with the expansion and how much I like the base game, this deserves spot 4 on my cooperative games list. You're each player is an angel, and you're battling these demonic forces that are trying to take over this town and oppress the saints that are in the town. You're trying to beat those demonic forces back and save the saints at the same time. And each angel has their own special abilities, their own set of special abilities, and it's just a really fun game. The 2 plays that I've had of the new expansion content have just really kind of ratcheted up my liking of the game. I'm really looking forward to the new expansion coming out, and it's coming to Kickstarter. It's going to have to go through that whole process, but I'm really looking forward to it. And so that's my number 4, Deliverance.
Nice. By the way, I said we'd have 2 crossovers in this half, and I don't know if we're going to hit 2 crossovers, but
I told you. You didn't see me, but when you said 2, I was like 0. Because I don't think so.
That's so sad.
It could. I mean, maybe. We'll see.
My number 4 is a true dungeon crawl. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not picking on you. The only Deliverance I've played feels much more like a horde mode than a dungeon crawl and being able to move across the board and actually do some things.
You can see where everything is. So I do get that.
But I get it, and the characters are cool and stuff, and I'm not picking on it. My number 4 is called Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game. In Marvel Zombies, you're taking on either the role of heroes or you're taking on the role of zombie heroes. And you're doing whatever the mission might entail. But eating as many, if you're zombie heroes, you're eating as many of those darned heroes as you can.
Those darn
shield agents as well. So
that should have been the name of one of the scenarios. Those darn heroes.
Those darn heroes. Nom nom. But anyways, Marvel Zombies is a great game. Zombicides are all great games. They're all great cooperatives.
You are correct.
And this is the best of the bunch. So
this is probably why you thought we were going to have more crossovers.
I figured this would be on your list for sure.
Yeah. I objectively decided not to put any of the Zombicides on this list.
Why?
Because they are what you were saying earlier. You could put any number of campaign game on the list. And I kind of felt the same way about this because it felt more like a dungeon crawl than it did. And I understand that dungeon crawls are cooperative. But I was trying to, maybe it was arbitrary, but I was trying to put a delineation between a cooperative game and a
cooperative dungeon crawl.
No, dungeon crawl.
All right.
Because I could probably make a list of 10 cooperative dungeon crawl games. I could easily do that. And it doesn't mean that Zombicide doesn't belong on this list. I just arbitrarily made the decision not to put it on this list. I was trying to go for more cooperative style games than a dungeon crawl because I could easily put
Well, that makes sense.
Campaign, dungeon crawl games. It could have been all of those.
So
take that for what it's worth. I probably should have put a Zombicide game on here, or 2 maybe even, but I just didn't.
Fair.
There
Okay,
you have it.
that's fair.
My number 3 is another game that has Vincent Dutrait's artwork on it from the 2nd edition onward by Elf Creek Games. This is Atlantis Rising, 2nd edition. And I really enjoyed the cooperative gameplay of this. You're trying to work together to use this technology to get everybody off of Atlantis as it is sinking. And you're trying to weather that and still get all of the resources that you need to accomplish all of these different goals that the people will be able to use that technology to get off the island before it sinks. I've really enjoyed this game over the past. We need to get it back to the table. I've got the monstrosities.
Yeah, we need to play with monstrosities.
I say
It's
that.
an interesting thing you say about this game and cooperation, because other than building the pieces and each of you individually trying to build the pieces, I don't feel like there's a lot of cooperation in this
But that
game.
is the cooperation.
Sure.
One person can't go and do it all.
No, that's true.
So that's the cooperation. You're not all cooperatively doing the same things.
Yeah.
But I'm cooperatively building this over here while you're cooperatively building that over there. And
Yep.
that cooperation is what's helping us
Yep.
get everything taken care of.
Well, we do
So
need to get it back to the table and try the
Absolutely.
monstrosities.
I do. I agree. We say that every time. Let's just make it happen. Make it happen, Captain.
After this?
After this.
9 more games to play. After this. All right. Right on. It's a beautiful game. I always thought that it was a little procedural, or not a little procedural, but your options were pretty much laid out in front of you a lot with this game. I don't know if the monstrosities
You're
changed
talking
that or
about
not.
Pandemic? Yeah, you're
No,
right.
I'm talking about, huh?
You're talking about
Talking
Pandemic?
about-
Yeah, you're right.
Atlantis Rising.
Oh, you're talking about Pandemic, though?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Because Pandemic's the same way. It's very procedural.
No, because you have all these cards. You have stuff coming up all over the place.
I know. But what everybody needs to do at any given point in time is pretty set in stone.
Fair.
I think any cooperative game can be deduced that way. To a point.
Maybe. Yeah, to a
To a point. I mean, what's best for you to do might change from turn to turn because of those new things that come out. But if you look at the game state when it's your turn, you're like, okay, this is what I need to do. And then the next turn, something else happens. Okay, well, that sucked. That was a waste of time. Now I need to go do this.
Maybe. Yeah, the decision space is
That
different.
Means,
but
that means he doesn't agree with me.
I almost agree. I do, actually. I think the decision space is different. But yes, I agree. I agree. All right, my number 3, saving the best 3 games for last for sure.
That's what I did.
That's what you did. My number 3 is from Simon, and it's called Cthulhu Death May Die.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you're not cooperatively going after whatever your goals are in this one, you're going to fail miserably.
Sure.
And from the first scenario, you just got to go break a few altars and beat up Cthulhu when he comes out.
Yep.
But this game is a riot from start to finish.
is.
Everybody has their goals, and there's a lot of ducking and weaving to try to make stuff happen. So I really love Cthulhu Death May Die.
Yep, it is. It's a very fun game. It's a very fun game, and if I weren't discluding, that's not a word.
Well, it adds story elements
It
to
does.
what a Zombicide game would be.
Absolutely does.
And it adds more theme into those scenarios.
Yep.
But
You're correct.
I hear you.
You're correct. I think from that aspect, the storytelling kind of scenario-based aspect, I think it's a much better game than Zombicide is. Because it really does, each scenario feels that much different than the others.
Yep.
But, I made that decision. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
but-
it's a good decision.
yeah,
Or
well,
we'd have the exact same list.
there is that. There is
Maybe.
that. All right, my number 2 is the one that it's too light to be on your list after what you've told me. And really my last 2. I chose light games for this one.
Oh, man.
So my number 2 is my favorite version of this game. There are 3, now 4 different versions of this game that are out there. And it is called Horrified, American Monsters.
Yep.
And this is my favorite version just because I like the monsters that are in it. It's not that I have anything against any of the other ones. I like the Greek monsters just fine. I like the traditional Universal monsters just fine as well. But American Monsters is the one that I've really enjoyed the most. I just like the feel of it. Everybody is cooperatively working together to figure out how to defeat a different number of monsters depending on what level of difficulty you're going after. It's anywhere from 2 to I think 4 different monsters at its hardest level. And you're also, while you're trying to figure out how to defeat these different monsters, you're also picking up survivors, let's just use it that way, that you're trying to protect from these different monsters that are running around as well. And while you're doing that, you're trying to pick up the resources that you need to defeat the monsters. There's a lot of things that are going on, and it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. It's actually a very, very simple game, but it has a lot of fun packed into it, and that's why I like it a lot. It's Horrified American Monsters, my number 2.
Yeah, and this was like my 11 or 12. It was right there.
Cool.
It just couldn't kick something off, couldn't kick these off the list, but it's a great game.
Yeah, well, it's super light, and especially compared to the other ones
But
that
I
are
like
on your
Horrified
list. Yeah,
a lot,
it's still
so.
a fun game. Yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so my number 2 is the second heaviest on my list. At a 3.85, and this is a game that I champion forever, and it should be no surprise to anybody, and that is Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games.
Jeez. What's the weight of this?
3.85 is what it says.
Man. Why is it weighted so heavily?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Maybe it's because
just
you
the
have so
entry
many
level's so
different
hard to-
things. Yeah,
maybe.
Got a steep
It's
learning
definitely
curve.
not that heavy of a game
No,
once you
it's
get
not.
going.
But I guess knowing
You get a 0.1 for every keyword. It's a 3.1 typically, but you add some for keywords there. I think there's just a steep learning curve,
Yeah.
and then keywords, if you're not tracking them, that's kind of tough. But I don't feel that it's that heavy.
No.
But Too Many
No.
Bones.
How it plays.
Huh?
How it plays.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy game at all, but all the terminology, figuring out how to get all of your powers to fire off correctly and all that other kind
There's
of
a
stuff.
lot of people that complain about the rule book, and I don't think I ever had a problem with it. I don't think I ever had a problem with the rule book, but maybe it just clicked with me okay. I don't know.
Yep.
But anyways, Too Many Bones is a great game. You each stick a gear lock. You have a whole bunch of different characters you can be, and they all each kind of do their own thing, and then you go through a series of scenarios or battles until you get to the big bad, and then you try to beat them up.
Yep.
So super fun. Good artwork, obviously Chip Theory Games and all their poker chips and everything else. Great components. Just love this game. So.
Absolutely. It's definitely high marks on component quality.
Sure.
Those poker chips are like an ingenious idea for making them a common component in all of your games.
I just picked up Burn Cycle. It could be on here, but I haven't played it yet.
Oh, just it by that
Haven't
much.
played it yet.
All right.
That one we got to get into.
This is a good one. I do enjoy it. The only times that I've played it in the past, actually it turned me off because I was playing with a bunch of people that were already very much into it, and I kind of felt like I got thrown into the fire out of the frying pan.
Sure.
And after playing it with JT a couple of times, I think we've played it, I get it. I understand it. I understand why it's such a good game, but it's just one of those ones. Yeah, I think it just has a steep learning curve.
Yeah. And it's really good solo. It's great at 2 players. And I'd say 3 players is actually probably the sweet spot if you have 3 good players or 3 players that know what they're doing. Otherwise, it can drag. I mean, you could see it dragging. But 3 players is nice because the stuff that's going on the battle map, the baddies are a little bit stronger, and you're having to work together more. But any of those player counts. Once you get to 4 players, everybody kind of needs to know what they're doing, or the game could take you 5 hours. Yep.
Understood. Finally, my number 1. And my number 1, I think
should be a crossover, but it's not. No, I'm just kidding.
Should be a crossover. It isn't. Again, I think this is just too light.
Should it go on my list?
It should be on most people's lists.
Oh, okay.
But that's not how gaming works. You have your likes and dislikes. I have my likes and dislikes. I actually think you would like this game. I don't know if you've played this game before.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Maybe I've taught it to you and I've just forgotten because that's how my brain works. Anyway, I have had a lot of recent experience with this game, and that's probably one of the main reasons it has rocketed to number one. It is called The Art Project from the Op Games. Demoing this 26 times in one weekend has shown me how much of a cooperative game it really is.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I like about it is because a lot of co-op games can suffer from this idea of the alpha player, just taking control and telling people what to do and all this other kind of stuff. This game actively works against that in saying that it provides communication restrictions. This isn't the only game that provides communication restrictions, but I think this is the one that does it the best because, or at least in a good way, because it doesn't say that you can't tell people what's on your cards.
Sure.
It just says you can't show them your cards, which is an important restriction if your point is to battle this idea of alpha players taking over. And explaining that to people and watching their faces kind of ease a little bit, I'm wondering if people don't like, sometimes, if they don't like cooperative games because they're worried about somebody just telling them what to do the whole time.
Yeah.
And so when you tell them you can't show your cards to somebody, you can tell them everything that's on the card, you just can't show them. You can see their face lighten up a little bit.
Yep.
Because they're like, finally, a game that is helping me with this problem that I have at a table where there's an alpha player.
Yep.
That's just one of the aspects. Vincent Dutrait's artwork, huge plus in my book. Generally, you could put any kind of theme on this game.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be the theme that it is, but the theme that they picked works really well with the mechanisms. So it's not a largely thematic game, but it is a thematic experience if you get into the theme that's presented to you. I really enjoyed that. It has a little bit of dice rolling in it. It has a lot of communication where you have to work together and decide who's going to go where and who would be the best person to do this and all of that kind of stuff. It's one of the premier cooperative experiences that I have right now, which is why it's my number one.
I've only played it a few times, and I really like the card play portion of it.
Yep.
And the resource management of it. What I'm not sold on yet is the fact that it seems like just walking in a mob is the best method.
Absolutely incorrect. Sorry.
So that's the only thing I've seen so far. Is it seems like walking in a mob.
It's too expensive. You don't ever have enough gas to do that. You don't have enough fuel.
I don't know. I've played it 4 or 5 times, and that's what happens every single time.
One person with
and I don't think I've ever failed or lost this game yet.
Different experiences with different players.
Sure.
So, but I don't... Maybe I encourage people not to do that.
Yeah, but the dice rolling is significantly more difficult when you don't have the other dice backing you up in the combats.
Not if you're getting the ally dice.
Sure, if you're getting the ally dice.
If you make getting ally dice a priority, even earlier in the game, and spend some life to get one, splitting up into 2 or 3, splitting up into 2 groups, whether it's 2 or 3 people in each group, is largely...
But even that, 2 groups, you're still doing the, I don't know. It just still feels like grouping up is the key to success. But
sounds like a cooperative game to me.
Nah, I want a cooperative game where I don't have to hang out
where
with
I can go do everything myself.
That's right. Which is what happens in my number one
What's your number one? Let's see.
My number one game is a 4.07 on the BGG, and it deserves every bit of that rating, and that is Spirit In Spirit Island, this is my favorite cooperative game by far. In Spirit Island, you are different spirits, and you're trying to stop the invaders from taking over the island. And it is very, very difficult because you cannot do everything. You cannot even do your portion half the time. You're really pushing hard to make one thing happen and this thing happen. And I can't touch that place over there. I hope you can get it. And, I can do some work over here. And that's kind of the cool thing about it, too, is you can't alpha game this, right? You're like, I'm pretty good in this forest area. I can handle this forest area, and I can work on these deserts over here. But I can't do anything over there. And then, you're just kind of talking and trying to figure out how to best conquer or save this island. So this is a great game. It's a fantastic game. So, but it's definitely thinky.
I'll have to revisit this one because I did play this back in the day, and I just I liked it. I do remember liking it. I remember that, but with the Dice Tower, you get to play a game a few times. You do the review of it, and then you don't get back to it.
That's difficult.
So I want to try this one again, revisit it, and see what I think, because I do remember enjoying it, but having this guy talk about it on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, Mel loves this game.
No, I get it. I get it. That's cool. All right. Well, that is our top 5 cooperative games. Thank you for joining us here. Give us a like and a subscribe if you feel like it. If you don't, I understand. No worries at all. But at least comment, give us a like down there, and let us know what you think should be the top 5 cooperative games in the universe.
Yep.
And we'll let you know if we agree with you or not. But thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate you. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
See you later.